Turn with me to Psalm 8. We'll begin our time together. Psalm 8. And as you turn there, I'll open us in prayer. Father, we praise you for your authority over and above all. In your hands, authority is good. And you've been kind to entrust it to us in various realms and spheres and responsibilities. And yet, there have been many ways in which we have abused that, and therefore it's been dangerous. But through Christ, there is redemption. We can exercise this authority rightly again. And I pray that in our time together tonight, we take another step further to representing your good rule in Christ through the spheres that you've placed us. In Jesus' name, amen. Gabriel asked me tonight, should I come to this class or not? You know, he was debating. And, well, I mean, he had options, like he could have gone to the other class. I said, and he was really thinking through it. Like, it wasn't like, I'm just going to do whatever you say. It was, well, I think you did say that, but but I'm like, I'm not going to tell you what class you got to go to. And so he's like, okay, well, tell me, what's the point? Like, why are you doing this? Like, why would I go to this class? And the explanation was pretty simple. I just said, God's called us to exercise authority in every area of life. I said, you even exercise authority in your person and in your room and with your school. I said, and we're all under authority. Like, it touches every area of life. And in fact, it's this great privilege that the psalmist celebrates in Psalm 8. Listen to it. He sees this as something that is amazing, that we all have this authority, being created in the image of God, and that it gives him unique honor and glory. So this starts our time. Psalm 8. To the choir master, according to the Gittith, a psalm of David. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babies and infants, you have established strength because of your foes, to still the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him? Yet you have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings, and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and also all the beasts of the field, the birds of the heavens, and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the seas. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Do you see what he celebrates? Like, the extension of authority to him was something that he viewed as giving unique honor and glory to God. And so, authority is our non-negotiable expression of worship. And in that, tonight, it'd be my desire for us to have a better and clearer picture of what good authority is according to the Bible. Last week, we discussed our general societal angst with authority, the fact that we tend to kind of view it suspectly. It is typically characterized as the bad guy in movie, film, and book. And yet, we said and concluded that ultimately the solution for bad authority is not no authority, but good authority. But we never said what good authority was. And that's what we hope to be able to do tonight, looking at the scriptures to see what does the Bible say good authority is. What does that look like? So I'd start off by throwing it out to you. Maybe I'd love to hear from just a few people in 30 seconds or less. If you could give us just a testimony of a time that you benefited from what you perceive to be a good authority. You get to brag on somebody. It doesn't have to be someone in the church. Like maybe it was a teacher, a coach, a parent, Tell us about a time that you had an experience with good authority. Yeah.
I had a supervisor at work at the fire department who not only listened to your opinion and valued what you said, but then would also give you the ability to carry out your own decisions and then discuss them. If there was something negative about it afterwards, discuss it, fix it, and move on.
Hmm.
One of the things that he had said to me was that he was grooming me to become him.
Hmm.
So that's how he led.
Yeah, that's really good. So you were under his authority. It was good for you, but it was also leading to your own expression or exercise of authority in the future. Right? Well, someone else. An instance where you enjoyed good authority. Yes, sir. John.
For a national elevator company a number of years ago that was family-owned, family-operated, 150 years old. That family was so gracious and caring about all of their employees, but the wonderful thing was, in a day and age when so many people were doing less than honest business, these people not only permitted me to work with integrity, they insisted on it, and I thrived.
Yeah, that's great. You were protected by the authority to do what was right and flourish in that. Yeah, Bill?
I had a brother about 45 years ago come to me on Sunday night and say, why don't you receive on Wednesday night? And he told me the importance of Wednesday night prayer and being with brothers and sisters.
That's great. That's an expression. We mentioned jobs. That's typically where we first think of authority. You mentioned the authority of a church member to actually exhort you to be involved at more of the gatherings of the church. Maybe one more illustration of good authority. This is going somewhere. This is helpful. Yes, sir.
I was in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember my tech sergeant in basic training. He was very strict, very disciplined, but I learned a lot about who I am, and it allowed me to grow as a man in learning different obedience drills and training and becoming more attuned with a team environment in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And that was really valuable.
Yeah. What's interesting in each of these is that good authority was not no authority. You know, like nobody is saying that, man, I sure am glad that person never told me what to do, or that person, never actually was in that position of authority over me. Like we flourished, we thrived on account of someone being over us, helping us, and actually investing in us. And so the question tonight, is this all intuition? Like is good authority subjective? Like some people think good art is? Like you just kind of feel it? It's just up to you? Or are there biblical standards for excellence in the exercise of authority? That's the question tonight. I think that one of the things that we often struggle with at times when we're teaching on any topic is to understand what in the world we're talking about. We're not clear on our terms. So I want to help clarify for us what is good authority. Just like someone could know objectively what is a good cookie, what is a good basketball shot, what is a good rose bush. There's some non-negotiable things that you're looking for in that where you're like, okay, yeah, 1, 2, 3, this makes sense. And so when we talk about authority, what is good authority according to the scriptures? And the way that I'm going to do that, because I'm kind of pictorial, is I just want to show us 3 pictures in the Bible of authority. It'll be the good, the bad, and the best. The good is going to be authority in creation. So just the general creative authority entrusted to everyone who's created in God's image. The bad will be authority in the fall, our tendency to rebel against God and the chaos that unleashes on those under us and around us. And then the best will be authority in redemption, how Christ actually took the expression of creative authority to a whole new level in his self-sacrifice and in joining his followers to do the same. Does that make sense? 3 pictures, and I hope that you could walk away, by the time this is over, I hope you could know exactly what good authority looks like, the features of it, so that as we're in the weeks ahead talking about the how, you know where we're headed. All right, let's begin with authority in creation. We mentioned this a little bit last week, but I need to give you some definitions of authority, but because I think that we actually kind of get it mixed up with some other words. What are some other words that are close to authority, but maybe not the same as authority? Power. Yeah, that's one. Authority is not necessarily power, or it depends on how you define power. It's the difference between might and right. Power is, strength. Authority is license. Eden, just the other day, earned her driver's license. It was a proud moment as a dad, sit there in the office, and she was truly 50-50. She did not know if she was going to get this license. I was truly 50-50. I didn't know if she was going to be able to get this license. And yet, as a 15-year-old, she had ability. She had the capacity to drive a car around. But she didn't have the authority to do that until she was 16, until she took that test. Might and right, there's a difference between the two. So authority is not power. Don't listen to me talk about great attributes of authority and just think overpowering, controlling, dominating. That's not it. What's another word that is kind of like close to authority, but maybe not the same, James? Yeah, responsibility. Yeah, responsibility is just kind of like what you're supposed to do, but it doesn't always entail that the position over another or something. That's a good one. Another one that comes to mind, go ahead. Privilege. Yeah, some people automatically assume authority is privilege. They only see the benefits and not the burdens. So yeah, privilege is normally an all positive word. Authority is actually an interesting blend of both burden and blessing. And then I wanted to mention one more that you might not come up with, but it overlaps a little bit, but it's not the same, and that's leadership. Sometimes people hear the word authority and they think leadership. Well, leadership is just influence. But again, authority is license. Authority is the right. It's normally an office. A leader is something that someone has inherently, like it's a capacity. Like you think of like the 7-year-old in the second grade classroom who's, the teacher says, is a natural leader. Well, just because he's charismatic and emotionally intelligent for a 7-year-old doesn't mean that he has the right to be exercising authority in the classroom. The difference would be when the teacher makes him the line leader. That's authority. It's something that's given to him. It's something outside of him. Leadership is actually something that is typically a gift. It's influence. So I want you to understand that authority is more like an office. It's a validation. Here's how I would define it. The moral right or license to make a decision or to bind the conscience of another to do the same. I don't expect you to memorize that, but I just want you to know what I'm trying to say. Authority is the moral right or license to make a decision or to bind the conscience of another to do the same. So in that, I want you to know that God actually gave every person that's ever been created on this planet their moral right or authority to make decisions, and in many cases, to entrust others under them to do the same. Like, that's what you've got. That's what the psalmist is actually celebrating in Psalm 8. It is authority in creation. When we saw in Genesis 1:27 and 28 last week that we were created in the image of God. What was he saying? He's saying, this is who you are. You represent the sovereign God of the universe. You're like these figurines, these idols. Actually, interestingly, the same word for image in Genesis chapter 1 is the same word for idol in Exodus chapter 20. Do you know why? Because idols in an ancient Near Eastern context represented the deity. You are the representation of God. That's what the word image means. You're his picture. Like, people should be able to look at you and know what his sovereign goodness is like. So that's who you are. But then verse 28 says, and how do you go about imaging him? By exercising dominion over everything that God has entrusted to you. It's who you are. It's what you do. This is something that is inherent to creation. And there's a couple ingredients involved in this that are going to come up over and over again throughout our study. I'm going to use the big fancy words first, and then I'll try to use some simple ones. But all authority, like when we're representing God, we have to represent him in two contrasting ways. The first is transcendence. We represent his transcendence, and the other is his immanence. Transcendence. Does anybody know what that word means? Like if you were to try to just give it a definition or give it a go. What do you think transcendence means? If we say God is transcendent, what does that mean?
Outside of our realm.
Yeah. Outside, over, and above. Like God is over you. Like he's not on the same level as you. He's on a different level, transcendent. Now, you recognize that in authority. There's a sense if we're going to represent God, we're on a different level than the animals. Despite the protestations of some Harvard biologists, the human species operates at a higher functional level and is more important than animals. There's a transcendence. But there's also, in God, in imaging him, immanence. What does immanence mean? Immanence is God's nearness. It's the fact that he's close. God isn't just high and holy and over and above. He is also near. He is present. He is our ever-present help in the time of trouble. So basically, transcendence makes you think of God's power and his sovereignty. His immanence makes you think of his love and his grace. I like to think of it this way. Immanence gives us the picture that God can and God's in control. Immanence gives us the picture that God cares and that he's kind. If we're going to represent God's authority, those two ingredients are essential. If we're going to image him, you can't be all transcendence and no immanence. You can't be all control and no kindness. But at the same time, you can't just be all kindness and no control. That's not authority. Authority demands both. So the ingredients of authority, according to Genesis chapter 1 or even Psalm chapter 8, they show a goodness but also a glory. And in that, we understand that in the transcendent, in the difficult, in the power and the authority and the overness of others, sometimes there's restrictions, right? And those are good. I think of the banana tree that is suffering in my front yard right now because of a lack of wooden supports. Wait all year long for stinking bananas to show up on this tree. This is the most worthless investment. You get one bunch all year long, and it's about to break off because I haven't given it restrictions. It needs support. It doesn't just need to do its own thing. It needs something that is transcendent, if you will. You think of pruning for rose bushes, study for children, training for athletes. Like there is a pain, if you will, to authority, but there's also a pleasure. There's support. That's what we talked about last week, support and challenge. This is what I'm referring to. I want you to think of God's immanence and his high holiness like as the challenge, if you will, on the x-axis, the challenge. And then I want you to think of his nearness, his kindness as the support, the y-axis. The authority consists of both. We're trying to demonstrate both. Those same rose bushes or the banana tree or whatever also needs light and food and everything else, like the positive stuff, but it also needs the restrictions. So I want you to turn to Genesis chapter 1 and 2 real quick, and we're going to do a little exercise. Jump in with someone else if you don't have a Bible, because I'd love for y'all to take a look at this. Genesis 1 and 2. And I realize that some of you may not be as familiar with this passage of Scripture. I assume that a lot of you would be. Therefore, I won't give you too much time. But I want you to kind of read through this quickly and identify some expressions of God's immanence and transcendence. His rule, his sovereignty, if you will, and his goodness. So, see if you can find expressions of God's sovereignty, his rule, and his goodness, his relationship. I'll give you, how about this? Let me give you a minute. to go with that. Just kind of research on your own, and I'll call us back to order in just a second. Yeah, Genesis 1 and 2. Just pick a spot and go. You don't have to read the whole thing. Like some of you could start at chapter 2. It's all over the place. I'll give you some Mozart. All right, wrap it up, maybe 10 more seconds. All right, so let's go with, let's start off with God's transcendence, His sovereignty, His rule, His control. We'll just kind of, just raise your hand. I'm just calling it real quick. It shouldn't require a really heavy explanation. All right, Bruce?
God's creation, everything that He made.
Yeah, He's the one that's the creator. It's God, all right? Very good. Another. Yeah.
Number 16, and the Lord commanded man, so He gave like a restriction.
Yeah, which verse was that?
2:16.
2:16, yes, God commands, right? There's a command. That's transcendence. He's over, He's above. Very good. Maybe one or two more on transcendence. Yes?
He's omniscient in His power, but He's personal in His touch.
Okay, so there's an omnipotence. So that normally we're like intimidated sometimes by somebody who has all power, but clearly God here has all power. And yet, this is the contrast we're making, He's still good. There's a personalness to Him. He's wanting to walk with man in the garden. One more expression of transcendence, of God's control, overness, His, yes?
When He called light day, when He called.
Yeah. Yeah, He named it. Yeah, he was the one, like, you're going to be this, you're called that, you're called that, you're called this, you're called that. And now let's think of, okay, that was the y-axis, His transcendence. Now let's think about immanence, God's authority and His nearness, His kindness. What are some expressions of God's kindness and goodness in... thank you. Yeah, got me. So y-axis, is support and God's immanence, and then the x-axis is God's immanence. All right. So what were you going to say for God's goodness and kindness?
He says, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed on the face of the earth, and every tree and seed in its fruit.
Yeah.
You shall have them for food."
Yeah. He gave them food. He gave them nourishment. He gave them quite a bit of variety. Yeah, Erica?
His acknowledgement that it wasn't good for man to be alone.
Yeah, partnership, right? Like, yeah, that wasn't best. Was that the one you were going to say, Ethan? Okay, all right, good. All right, someone else. Yes, John?
Seventh day, God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, set it apart to Himself, or brought it near to Him, or infused it with Himself, right? And that's Genesis 2:3.
Right, I see that. Yes, I guess it shows Him as one who would model rest for His people, and this would be appealed to later, as we just saw, actually, in Exodus 23 this past Sunday. One more that I have always been especially blown away by is turn to chapter 2, and just look, like, sometimes just ask yourself, why is this here? Like, if this wasn't in my Bible, how would it change my view of God? Look at Genesis 2, I'm not going to read it all, but just kind of scan through verses 5 through 14. I mean, he talks about like this garden being perfect. There's this mist that comes out over the ground. He gives life. There's this tree in the midst of it with that is for life. There's another for the tree for the knowledge of good and evil. But then look through 10 and then 13. There's a river that became 4 rivers, and it was there was gold, and there's bdellium and onyx, and I mean, like, it's just beautiful. Like, what a good God. We're going to see this in Exodus in a couple weeks, where God reveals himself again on Mount Sinai, and everybody's thinking, oh no, thunderbolts and lightning. And yet what it says was, like, when they were in his presence, they saw this sapphire pavement underneath him, and there was this enchanting glory. Like, God is both over us, but he is with us. He is both in control and he is kind. Do you see the ingredients? I want you to understand this is non-negotiable. This is inherent to authority. If you're going to represent or image God, if you're going to, represent. We were created as his representatives, and therefore we represent him. We were created in his image, therefore we image him. And we must image both to exercise authority well. So that's the point. And I want you to know the goal of authority. So that's what it is. Let me tell you why it is. Why do we have authority? Why did God do this? Well, there's 2 goals. It's very simple. There is to grow and to show. Authority exists to grow things. The exercise of good authority is if something's growing, if it's flourishing. That was what he told them to do with the garden. You know what bad gardening would have done? Killed all the plants. Or exercised your responsibility in such a way that the curse with thorns and thistles were to overtake the whole world. That's bad authority. Good authority would have like taken that and nurtured it and expanded it. It grows. That's what a teacher's doing. What are they? They're authoring life in child. They're authoring learning. A parent doing the same for their children. The same with the person who grows a garden. Any authority is supposed to bring about life and flourishing and good. And so this should be existing in every part of life. Do you remember our text last week? It is this hidden jewel that I hope that you will come to over and over and over again when you're thinking, why has God given us authority? It is the last words of David, 2 Samuel 23. Let me read for you again, verses 3 and 4. The God of Israel has spoken. The Rock of Israel has said to me, when one rules justly over men, ruling in the fear of God, he dawns on them like the morning light, like the sun shining forth on a cloudless morning, like rain that makes grass to sprout from the earth. Again, if you didn't get that, it's 2 Samuel 23, verses 3 and 4. God intends for authority to bring about life. It isn't just like, all right, keep things from going bad. It's to actually nurture life. It's to make things better. That represents God well. You know it's good authority when there's flourishing, when there's life. And we see this in multiple spheres. It's life, health, reproduction in ourself and our own management of our own souls and in our families and in our church and in the team or organization that God has placed us in our role as a citizen in the community. Like, there should just be a good trail of life behind us. Like, whatever we touch should turn to gold, if you will. Like, it should be better. We should leave things better than we found them. Like, that image is God. For somebody to be entrusted with responsibility, for example, in a workplace, to be given authority as a manager, and for the profits to go down, and for the restaurant to be unclean, and for the customer surveys to return poorly, that's bad authority. That's not life. That's not growth. That's not good. But when someone is entrusted with that same level of authority, and then all of a sudden, profits are high, and the place is clean, and the people are pleased, that's authority. And which one represents God? The latter. So, authority exists for good, to grow. It also exists to show. So what is authority? What's it supposed to do? To grow, to flourish, the things that are entrusted to us, the people that are entrusted to us, but also to show, to accurately image God. And that's where Psalm 8, I think, is so fascinating. Like, he acknowledges, like, he's like, oh, praise be to God. Oh, Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Did you notice it starts off with that and then it ends with that? But what's it about? Like, what is man? He's just so, like, small. He's created lower than the angels. And then at the midway point of the poem, it turns around and says, but you've placed him in charge of the created world. And he says, this is what gives your name majesty and honor. It makes you look good. So when we grow the things entrusted to us, we are also showing what God is like. This is what it means to image. We are giving a picture of God. Someone said it this way: every time we use our authority correctly, we teach theology. We're telling the world what God is like, and that he created a good world, even if rebellion exists. And when we rule like him, we teach. But when we don't rule like him, we teach. That's what it means to be created in God's image. So, we've seen the goodness of authority in creation, all right? That's like the first picture. It's for growth. It's for showing who God is. It consists of immanence and transcendence. Like you've got a general picture of authority in creation, but now, this is fun, to actually look at authority in the fall, because sometimes we learn best from contrasts. There was this old writer from Men's Health magazine named David Zinchenko, and he would have this regular column in the magazine, which I didn't like buy regularly, but every once in a while I would look at it, and it was eat this, not that. And he would just, every time he would talk about, like, okay, here's the good thing to eat, but here's something that's close to it that you'd want to avoid at all costs. We like contrast. Do it this way, not that way. When you shoot your free throw, like keep your elbow like underneath your hand, not out here to the side. Like we show it, do this, not that. We need it to understand, if we're going to understand authority well, we need to understand good authority. But now we need to see a picture of bad authority gone bad. And that is, very simply, seen right there in Genesis chapter 3, verses 5 through 7. Genesis 3, 5 through 7. Whoever gets there first, read it. I'm not there.
For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loincloths.
They were given license, they were given authority, they were authorized to represent God by cultivating and keeping the garden, but instead they chose to use their authority to please themselves and to try to, ironically, become more like him. God had already enabled them to become like him by obedience, and the serpent actually convinced them to be like God through disobedience. And now we have our first picture of authority gone wrong, and it unleashed a whole host of consequences on the world. I just want to give you a few passages in Scripture that talk about the devastation of bad authority. Ecclesiastes 5:8 says, "If you see the poor oppressed in a district, and justice and rights denied, do not be surprised at such things. For one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them both are others higher still." The preacher there in Ecclesiastes recognizes that it's broken. Injustice is all over the place. Like, you're going to go to some, and you will not get the outcome that you desire. People are oppressed. Isaiah 10:1 and 2 says, "Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees, to deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed of my people, making widows their prey and robbing the fatherless." Or Proverbs 29:2. I'll just stop here. "When the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan." Bad authority is so bad that I can't even ask for public testimony. I can ask you to tell me a 30-second deal of good authority. It would suck the air out of the room if I enabled you guys to start speaking to your experiences of bad authority, because it is so devastating. For Satan and all those under his control, authority is like a hammer and a saw that a kid would find in his father's workshop. In the hands of the father, the hammer and the saw are constructive and good. In the hands of the child, it's destructive and bad. Because of the introduction of the rebellion of our first parents, we've been misusing our authority ever since. What was supposed to be building up and producing life is now tearing down and wrecking those around us and under us. And it is so easy to just think through like instance after instance after instance of terrible authority in our lives. What is bad authority? I would just say it's the misapplication of might and right toward wrong. It's the misapplication of might and right toward wrong. The bad authorities are still using their strength, and in some cases, they're still using their eminence. They can be manipulators. But it's not toward God's good purposes, it's toward their own. A couple examples of this is Pharaoh. What did Pharaoh do in Exodus 5:2? He said, "Who's Yahweh that I should obey him?" And in the meantime, he had captured all of God's people. He was like squeezing the life out of them like someone would an orange for juice. It was absolutely dominating. Another example of bad authority is in Pilate. And this one's not domination. Normally we think of authority misused in domination, like somebody's a little too challenging, not enough support. In the case of Pilate, what was it? It was abdication. He says, "I wash my hands of this matter." Like, what is truth? And Jesus is crucified. So how do we know that it's bad? Well, it's kind of the opposite of the good. So here's two outcomes of bad authority. It distorts and it destroys. If good authority is to show and to grow, bad authority distorts and destroys. Let's start with the latter. It destroys, it eradicates life. In fact, I just gave examples of that. But you know what it's like when you see someone who's in charge and they're using it selfishly or poorly. It leads to destruction, it leads to decay. But I want to point out more explicitly that it not only destroys, but it distorts the view of God. The reason why our culture typically paints the authority as the bad guy in music, movies, culture, philosophy, education, is because it's been used so badly over the years. It's an easy thing to caricature. It's an easy thing to actually express. And then people get suspicious about God as an authority because they're like, I don't know if I like that because I've had such a terrible experience with authorities in the past. Another put it this way: when we presume to be God by taking on authority for ourselves and using it for ourselves but not for God, we create a false image about him, like a haunted house mirror that distorts the face it reflects. And in that sense, we become heretics. Those under our authority begin to believe the haunted house's distorted image, and they begin to wonder if the God we're imaging is in fact a liar, abuser, violator, after all. In other words, the misuse of authority by definition is accompanied by deception, coming as it does from the father of lies. It claims to be right in what it does, but it's self-justifying. So he gives this analogy. I think this is a good one. You could see this. This is unfortunately very real. So, the child who looks up at the angry father towering menacingly over her experiences something in her soul. She instinctively knows that this is not right. This should not be. And yet, the father insists that in his anger, he has every right to do so. And so she, hardwired by God to trust her dad, begins to believe him. Maybe he's right. I am a bad child. I am worthless. And if he's a religious dad who invokes the name of God, she is that much more likely to ascribe her father's menacing anger to the Heavenly Father. And God hates me too. Thus, some truly, and I'm not trying to play on our emotions here, some truly struggle to sing songs like How Deep the Father's Love for Us. because too many know what it's like to experience the poor authority, the oppressive authority of a father. It's not just destructive, it's distorting. It's giving people a picture of God that's not true. It is a violation of the third commandment to not take the name of the Lord in vain. That doesn't mean don't say cuss words. It means don't take on God's name and represent him. Like, don't start flaunting about his name in ways that don't actually represent him. It means to mischaracterize him through the use of his name. And it's easy for us. Let me be really practical here for a second. It is so easy for us, as we hear the heaviness of this, to start thinking like Luke 18:11. Remember that passage? God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. We like to think we're not doing that bad with our authority. I haven't done that. I haven't been the oppressor, the violator. But truly, friends, it's the forces of hell who would want you to think that way. If you're sitting here right now and you're thinking like, man, I'm glad I haven't done that. You're probably just kind of fitting into Satan's scheme for our world, because like in this like critical race theory age that we live in, like popular labels get thrown around like the oppressor and the sexist and the abuser and the homophobe and the racist. And what people start saying is like, well, I'm sure glad I'm not like those people. These narrow-minded, hypocritical Christians. Like sometimes we're just characterized as that, but I want you to know that the abuses of authority, friends, are not always just dominating and oppressive. Sometimes they're way more subtle. They're actually in the heart. In fact, most of the times they are. That's where it starts. None of us can be let off the hook. Do you remember the passage that John Snowball read for us so beautifully on Sunday morning, Matthew chapter 5? It was there that Jesus said, don't just avoid murdering people, but don't even hate. Don't just avoid adultery, but don't even look lustfully at a woman. Hatred is just a less obvious version of murder, and lust a more hidden version of adultery. And hear this. So don't say to yourself, well, at least I haven't killed anyone. At least I haven't harmed anyone. If it's been in your heart to misuse God's authority for your own purposes, you're guilty of misrepresenting him, distorting him. By God's restraining grace, thankfully, few of us have abused authority as terribly as some, and yet we've all participated. Listen to this. We have all participated in declaring ourselves God's equal and have stolen transcendence, ultimately dehumanizing others for our gain, not for their good, not for God's glory. Has anybody ever done that? You've been in a position of authority, you've been over something, you've been over someone, and you weren't doing it for their good and flourishing. You weren't doing it for God's glory. You were doing it for your good, and you were doing it for your glory. Like, you've taken the saw and the hammer, and you've now begun to destroy as opposed to build up. This authority in the fall is prevalent in every area of our lives. We do it with our bodies that we're in control of. We do it with our jobs. How many of you and me have made our jobs about ourselves? Authority as a church member. Even people can use church to make themselves feel good or superior to other people. Authority as a spouse or a parent. Man, I've done that. I got a kid in the room. I got to tell the truth. I mean, like, I don't have a recliner. I wish I did. If I did have one, I could imagine that there would be a really strong temptation to go like bark an order to one of the kids, like, hey, go get me the remote. Like, if I'm just like bossing a kid around saying, go get me the remote, like, is that for their good? Is that for God's glory? No, that's for my convenience. Now, I use that as like a small illustration because like how often have we taken the position of authority and just made it all about our good? That's not what it's for. It's for God's good, God's glory, and the good of those who are under us. So The point is that we need to be more like the tax collector who beat his breast and cried, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. So we've seen good authority. It represents God's immanence and transcendence. It goes for the good of those underneath. It is for the glory of God. It shows them. But then we saw bad authority, like eat this, not that. Do not exercise the authority entrusted to you in ways that destroy others or distort God. Do not do this for yourself. But I want to talk about one final view of authority that I think gives us hope. And this would be a wonderful way for us to close tonight. We've talked about the good, the bad, and now I want you to see the best. If you thought that the creation ideal of authority was pretty solid, and you thought that the sinful one was pretty bad, it gets even better. Because there is not only authority in creation and authority in the fall, but there's also authority in the redemption. And this is what Christ shows us in Mark chapter 10, verses 42 and 45. Notice how he expands the intent of authority as he's teaching his disciples. Turn with me there. This is the last main passage that we'll turn to in our study tonight. Mark chapter 10, verses 42 to 45. Is my fever breaking or is it hot in here? Okay. All right. Something's feeling warm. Will somebody just open the doors so that it just psychologically helps me think that it's going to be cooler in here? Okay, Mark 10, verses 42 to 45. And I'd like someone else to read that one for us, please.
And Jesus called them to him and said to them, you know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. But it shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant.
Thank you.
And whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many.
It's a whole new picture. Authority in creation seems rather neutral. You take a plant, you take a garden or whatever, let's say that you're a gardener, and it's neutral, it's just ground, it's just there. Here, what Jesus begins to show us about authority is the right use of authority will lay itself out, will make sacrifices even when the garden fights back. Somebody said that authority in and after Christ not only enters into the world of the vulnerable, that's what we normally think of, authority for the vulnerable, but the world of the guilty. It comes not just for the oppressed, but the oppressor. We want power we don't deserve, and we use the power we possess at the expense of others. And if you don't know that about yourself, you don't know the gospel. We just talked about that. But the gospel, the good news of Jesus, is that the good guy dies for the bad guy, the hero for the whore. It isn't just the exercise of authority on some neutral group entrusted to our care or some neutral object. Now Jesus is saying, I am coming to exercise my authority to serve, to bring about good in the lives of those who have rebelled against me. This is way harder. This is way bigger. I think it's good for us to point out here, a lot of us will hear this passage and think, oh man, what a great passage on servant leadership. And I love that. I love servant leadership. I love teaching on servant leadership. But the problem when we emphasize servant leadership here is that we forget that they're still servants. There's a difference between servants and leaders. Okay, I'm glad we're talking about servant leadership, but what about servants? Jesus is not just saying, I am a servant. He is saying, I am a sovereign who serves. He is using his authority. He still has authority. He didn't give it up. He used his authority to bring about the eternal good of those entrusted to his care. You see the difference? If you just say, oh, well, Jesus was just a servant. He was just passively reacting, he just abdicated all authority. You were misunderstanding Jesus. That's what the book of Mark is about. For those of you who have been here on the Wednesday nights and those who are preaching at Amira Choice, like over and over again, Jesus has authority, Jesus has authority, Jesus has authority. And what does he do with it? At great cost to himself, he brings about the eternal good of those who have rebelled against him. It is not just authority in creation, it is authority in redemption that we as God's people are called to exercise. And let me tell you practically what this means. That as authorities, we are not only working for the general good of creation, but we're also working for the eternal good of those in creation. It isn't just about, building better buildings and making more money at work and getting higher test scores at the end of the year. It is also about fighting for the eternal highest good of those who are around us and willing to sacrifice everything within our power for that good of others. That is why we often define love around here as fighting for the highest eternal good of another. It is a fight. It is a sacrifice. There is a laying down of one's life, not just for their temporal good. I appreciate Robert's teaching on that. I sat in one of your classes the other day in 1 John, and you said, hey, we as believers should be loving and caring for one another, and I loved your term, needs, not greeds. We're not just trying to make each other more comfortable, we're trying to meet needs. Like, what's the most important? Well, what's the most important for the people around us? It isn't just that they have clean water and a bigger bank account. It's that they have a relationship with the Lord Jesus and spend eternity with him. So there's authority in creation. That's like base level. The things that you touch should indeed grow. But more than that, they should grow through scattering the seeds of the eternal gospel. Jesus was concerned about the eternal well-being of his people. And that's exactly what was prophesied in Isaiah 52 and 53. It says that there would be this Messiah figure, and you know what his name was? Do you remember Isaiah 52, 53? The servant of the Lord. And the servant of the Lord throughout Isaiah is considered powerful, strong, mighty. And what do you see in Isaiah 52 and 53? Does anybody remember some of the famous verses from that passage? What's it talking about? Yeah, he was pierced for our sorrows. He was stricken for for our sin. It is the substitutionary atonement of the Messiah. This would be the new standard of great authority. It's interesting that people today might fear being under authority because of the abuse they might receive, right? That's what people say. Yet a Christian view of authority might teach us to also fear being the one who is in authority because of the abuse you'll receive as Christ did, at least if you're doing it right. Authority in redemption is an invitation to experience the pain of Jesus for the profit of those who do not know him. You are not exercising your authority as a believer, as a Christian, by just doing general good for those entrusted around you. You should also be fighting for their eternal good. That's the new standard that Jesus imposes upon his people. It is a special authority. It is a Christian authority. It is an authority in redemption. And what does this mean for us practically? Well, friends, in our battle to try to do eternal good to those who are around us and under us, we have a couple of tools at our disposal, and they're going to fit on our chart again. You ready? I want you to see these parallels. They are very simply the truth, right? Truth, but also grace. There's justice and there's also mercy. All right, I want you to think of truth and justice as what you think of as challenge, right? If you're going to call somebody to eternal good, you have to share truth. You have to tell them justice. You have to tell them what's right. But they also need the support. There's imminence. There's nearness. There's grace. There's mercy. There's good news. There's law. There's gospel. That's what it looks like. It is a blend of both. Some of us have a tendency, let's just admit it, some of you who are, you consider yourselves to be people. I'm a people person. People tend to, if they want to do eternal good to people, they tend to be all love and mercy and no justice and truth. And then some people are factual people. They're principled people. You know who you are. I'm one. They tend to be all justice and truth, but no mercy and grace. And yet authority and redemption calls for both. Is that not what Jesus did? Sometimes he would lay down the hammer of the law, and sometimes he would be gentle, even to the point of actually being described as one who would not break a smoldering, would not extinguish a smoldering candle and would not break a bruised reed. He is both. Friends, in our fight for doing eternal good to those around us, we must be displaying God's immanence and transcendence as well. And can I just give a warning? In our electronic age, social media especially can be dangerous for us in this, for those of us who are more on the truth and justice line, because you get to broadcast facts without relationship. You're not with the person. You're just launching words. Be careful. But 2 pictures of this, and then we'll be done. This idea of calling people to eternal good, being both relational and right, being both truthful and gracious. What does that look like? These are things that we struggle with, friends. Parents battle this with their children. They're like, do I show grace or do we lay down the law? Church members struggle with this when people are erring or straying. All right, do we kick them out or do we keep them in? Like, what are we doing? What's the goal? And I think we understand that to do authority and redemption well, it's going to be a little bit of both. On a secular level, I want to just remind us that there's a difference between calling someone up and calling someone out. I'll give you this analogy that I found. Football. Let's imagine for a second, and this is our last couple pictures, that there's a football player and he's pushing another person on the field. And so what was a 20-yard gain now becomes a 15-yard loss. All right, that's a pretty big turnaround, right? Like there's a flag thrown, like it's bad. And you could imagine a coach who actually like yells in the player's face. This wouldn't seem too unusual for Florida football. The veins in his neck are popping out, and he tells them that like he's blown it, like that he's actually like missed the opportunity, and like he just was such a disappointment to the team, and the guy just walks away. Now, some of you are thinking, wow, that's great coaching. Okay, let me give you an alternative. Correcting someone and calling them up, if you will, should be couched in relationship. So what's a way that a coach could do that? Well, I want you to know it's not, all right, good try, son. We'll try again next time. That is not what I'm advocating for here, but I think a good picture is rule within the context of relationship. Let's try this one on. Son, you seem to have forgotten that we're not the kind of team that gets into little pushing matches when our feelings get hurt. Instead, we're learning to be men of character who can take an insult and walk away because our team is more important. This is a great opportunity for you to learn. Don't waste it. See the difference between the two? This is who we are. You're not living up to the team, the standard, but I'm with you. Now, let me give one about a cussing teenager. All right, here's a toxic way to handle that. Here's a non-redemptive way. I can't believe you spoke that way to me. I'm offended. How dare you? I will punish you and insult you in equal measure because you did not honor me, and I will make you treat me like I know I deserve to be treated. I may have given that speech before. And imagine this, though. Let's try it in a redemptive way. You did not honor me, even though God placed me in your life to lead you. I understand how difficult this can be because I too fail to honor those God has placed over me. Yet the Lord deserves your obedience and mine. Therefore, I want to help you be what God calls you to be, a son who honors his father. I'm going to account for the difficulties you've been going through and show compassion where I can, but I wouldn't be loving to you as a father if I didn't impose consequences well. Do you see how there's rule in the context of relationships? That is redemptive authority. It's transcendent. It's imminent. It's both like kind and in control. God has given us the opportunity to do this in every area of our life. And how then do we remember this? How are we going to keep this on the forefront of our minds, friends? I would just encourage you, keep looking to Jesus. Do you remember that song? We've maybe sang it here a few times, but it's pretty popular. Here is love, and the second verse goes this way. On the mount of crucifixion, fountains open deep and wide. Through the floodgates of God's mercy flowed a vast and gracious tide. Grace and love, like mighty rivers, poured incessant from above, and heaven's peace and perfect justice kissed a guilty world in love. I pray that we would not only show the baseline of authority in creation, and that we would not only repent of the authority in the fall, but that we would be recharged to exhibit authority and redemption, fighting for the highest eternal good of others with both the righteousness of God and that which is true, but also in relationship to convey what God is really like. I'm going to ask Will to close us, please, in prayer, and I'll sneak out.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for your goodness to us and giving us your word that gives us such clear instructions